Hello, welcome back to another video from the home of the 42-hour difference, JE Instruction. Got a new guest today, Jonathan Devlin. Man, I want to let him introduce himself. Can I tell you some of his bona fides and where I dug him up from?
So my name's Jonathan Devlin. That's where Alex actually got the JE for JE Instruction, because my name is Jonathan Edward Devlin.
You wish.
So yeah, I'm an insurance agent. I'm actually an employee for an insurance company. I sell life insurance and some health policies, cancer, or accidental death, things like that. I guess today we're going to be talking about introverts in insurance, because I'm an introvert and that's really tough for me. And so give it back to Alex.
For those of you that don't like using 50-cent words because we're not taking the SAT, he means shy people. People that you might be a great human, but you just don't particularly like talking to people. They kind of, they scare you, they get on your nerves for whatever reason. But yeah, Jonathan is definitely more on that end of the spectrum than I am. I don't meet strangers. That's just a friend who I haven't spoken to before.
Right. You could put Alex into like a room with no one in there, and within 5 minutes he'd be having a conversation with the wall, and the wall would actually be talking back. So that's not me.
We're all gifted differently. But no, that's one of the first kind of questions, comments I get back anytime I mention insurance is, well, I'm not a salesman, or I really don't like people, those types of things. So I was really curious to see how you, and I know for a fact that you're pretty reserved, you're pretty shy. Mm-hmm. How you're able to go into a career like insurance where talking is the thing.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm gonna say, just even a couple years ago, I wouldn't have seen myself here. And really, I mean, the way it got started is I had a friend that went to work for an insurance company, and we were both working the same company, and he left after some changes happened, and it wasn't necessarily a good place to work anymore. And he went to work for an insurance company, and it was great, and it was wonderful, and he told me all about it. And so I started looking. I'm like, oh well, there are companies like that there, and I started looking, and most of the insurance companies, seem to be that way. So, but still, I wouldn't really take the jump. I was looking for jobs, and I found lots of insurance jobs. And I had a manager trainee that I was training, and he was a great salesperson. And and I was going to him, and he was very unhappy, with the job as well. So I was like, look, I mean, these insurance jobs, this much, this and that, and you're a great salesperson. He just wouldn't do it. He just didn't want to. And, finally it got to the point where I just had to leave there. I mean, even without having another job, I had enough to carry me over a few months. So, and at that point I just had to find a job, right? And I did want to work for an insurance company, but I wanted to be like an adjuster or something, And, one where I did work with people a little bit and felt like I could help people, but at the same time had a lot of heads down time, or time not dealing with people. But that wasn't happening. So I applied for a sales job to get my foot in the door with an insurance company, pretty much. So
now, if I remember, that process you're talking about, that was right before COVID really kind of shut the world down, right?
Well, it was actually right after.
Okay.
I mean, the unhappiness with the other jobs started. Well, it started during COVID, because it went. The company I was working for went from helping people and doing good things to just taking advantage of people. So then I had to go, and that's why I chose insurance, because I did want to do something where I felt like I was helping people. So fast forward to where we are today. I talk to people 8 hours a day. Answer 30 plus calls a day, talking to people. And a lot of the conversations I have aren't great. I work on what's called the warm lead team. So they send us, supposed warm leads, which really they're not warm. They didn't even want to talk to us. But, and those are even harder, obviously, for an introvert than the person that calls and says, hey, I want to talk to you.
Well, just real quick, for those of you that aren't familiar, when he says a warm lead, that's someone that is aware that they probably need your service and they filled out some general form online, like cheapinsurance.com or something like that. They collect your information. This would be one of the people that's going to end up with that information. So that's what he means by a warm lead.
Yeah. But, like I said, it's more often than not, they did. It's not. And sometimes we do get the ones that filled out something at whateverinsurance.com, but most of the time it's someone who filled out something for a gift certificate or a survey and clicked the fine print button that said we can call you. That's and so as being an introvert, so it's exhausting me talking to people all day. I mean, it honestly is. It's very exhausting. And especially with some of these conversations we have to have with some of these people who didn't want to talk to us in the first place, and try and convince them to even stay on the phone with me. So yes, it is exhausting as an introvert. But the thing is, I've worked in mills, I've worked in restaurants. We live here in Alex and I live here in Dalton, Georgia, which is carpet capital of the world. Carpet mills everywhere.
Well, now we got a new moniker. I mean, we're Soccer Town
USA, which I played soccer. That was a lot more fun than working in the mill. But
I've watched soccer.
And so, but I've done that kind of work. I've done manual labor. I've done restaurants. I've worked in a mill. I've done car sales. And even though this does exhaust me, it's still not exhausting as those jobs were for me. So honestly, it's more of a, just getting over that fear. And it's funny because I've always had jobs where I had to deal with the public, and there was some aspect of sales to it. I never had a sales job, but like even the job before this, I was a manager. I was actually a sales manager, and I never actually had a sales job. And I was great at teaching people to sell, but just hated doing it myself. But it's like I said, it's exhausting, but it's not like those other jobs. Also, I do get a certain amount of satisfaction from it because every once in a while you get that call from that person who didn't think they could ever get life insurance. They have this condition and that condition, or they're this age, and they just thought there were no options for them out there. And when you can actually give them an option, and give them an option that's affordable for them and everything like that, and get them covered, that kind of makes it worth it. So
yeah, I mean that's whether you're talking about the younger generation or even our generation, we're both middle 40s now.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to call it. I mean, your job has to matter for something.
Right.
You want to feel good about what you're doing. So I'm going to ask you, because I've also been in sales positions in other industries for a short time. When you're able to help somebody that's in a situation like you just described, or even on the other side of it, when it's time for them to cash in on a life policy.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to be there and at least be some shining light of something good, or a new possibility, or that's a feeling that I wish you could just bottle and take it with you.
Yeah, I mean you probably know more than anybody. I don't show a whole lot of emotion except for anger maybe, but
yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I tear up at those calls. So.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah, we're both men, and I've the one that still tugs on my heartstrings. It was not a life situation. It was a home fire situation, and the entire family just standing on the side of the road. I mean, I don't care how hard your heart is. That'll make you stop and take notice.
Mm-hmm.
What we do matters. What we do has an impact on people's lives, and typically they don't realize how big it is, and we don't realize as an agent how big it is sometimes until they're in the middle of a catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to kind of get these reminders from somebody that he's self-professed, and I'm telling you, I've known the guy for a while. Like, he really is shy.
Yeah.
So This is about the most conversation you're ever going to get out of him. But no, you said getting over the fear. We kind of discussed what we're going to talk about beforehand. I didn't throw this at him. I'm just going to ask him here live.
Okay.
You said getting over the fear. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the fact that you're not looking across the table and seeing face to face, that you're more in a phone setting, does that help?
Honestly, no. I in a face-to-face setting, when I've done it in a face-to-face setting, I actually preferred that. Because you can get those nonverbal cues. Where on the phone, I feel it's actually more difficult. If I'm sitting here looking at someone, a lot of times there are certain mannerisms that, because, that whole buyers are liars thing, right? If you're sitting there looking at them, a lot of times you can kind of see, what they're thinking or how they're acting. Where on the phone, you can't. So it's, you have no nonverbal cues there. As far as the fear, for me, it's kind of the same because, like I said, I've always been in a role where I had to deal with people. So it's kind of like, I do have this switch I can turn on when I have to. So, it's like, yeah, I'm sitting here in my office by myself analyzing this or that. And then, hey, we need you for this sale. And it's like, flip on the switch. Now I have a personality. And then after I get done with that sale, that switch goes off and the personality goes away. So, I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Honestly, you just described being a disc jockey.
Yeah.
They're on our personality for 3-4 hours a day, and then they go back to just being normal people.
Yeah. It does. So basically to be an introvert and be successful in something like this, you do have to be, I guess, a little bit of an actor. You have to be able to do that. And like I said, it is exhausting. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted, which you think I'm sitting in a chair or standing, because I stand part of the day just because sitting at my age, sitting all day hurts. But, like I said, it's a lot less exhausting. It's mentally exhausting, not physically exhausting, which, when it comes to the two, I take mentally any day, I can take a nap and get over that. Where it's physical, it hurts the next day. So, so anyone who's afraid to do it because they're an introvert, or not even afraid, but just don't want to, or just have that anxiety, and once you get into it, I'll tell you what, my first day on the phone, the first call was, I was going to die. It was nerve-wracking. I didn't know. By the time I got about the fifth call in the day, it was okay, kind of routine. And even now, I've been doing this for a year now. First call of the day is always kind of rough. Even if it's a good call, it's rough. If it's a bad call, then it may take a couple more calls to really get in the groove. If it's a good call, then maybe it'll get me in the groove and get me going for the rest of the day. But every day, I still have to have that. And like I said, I did it to get my foot in the door. So even if you're interested in a certain type of a career with an insurance company and it's just not feasible for you at the moment, you can always get your door in a company and sell, or get your foot in the door in a company with sales. Everyone's always hiring salespeople. So, and that's,
yes.
For me, it's a means to an end. I don't plan to be here 10 years from now selling, but it got me in the door. So now maybe I can start looking for those more heads down opportunities where I'm not having to deal with people. So,
Well, personally, I applaud you for challenging your own fears, and we all have things that we're just naturally gifted at, and things that we struggle at. Anytime somebody is willing to challenge what they're not good at or what they are just afraid of, you become a better person because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you decide to do in the future, to whatever small degree, the sales aspect from insurance is going to go with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the one industry that, I say this a lot. If you're bored, you ain't doing it right. Insurance is so much more than what we probably have been led to believe, or even what we saw.
Oh yeah.
It's not just some guy sitting at a desk, because You know, the situation he's describing, he's sitting at a desk, but it's not a desk with another human being coming in the door sitting across from him.
Right.
You know, he's in a very different environment trying to accomplish the same thing. So,
And every customer is different too.
Oh,
they have
absolutely.
different goals, so they need different, they need different products. So our job as insurance agents, whether it be life or property and casualty, is determining what these people need and helping them, find the best way to get it.
yeah, I always kind of say this. I mean, an insurance agent is supposed to be an advisor. You know, sales is a part of it, absolutely. But we're supposed to be advisors. You're supposed to give them the best possible advice. You know, it's not just you wrecking a sale. I mean, ultimately you want to sell it, but you want to make sure that you're doing something with some integrity
Right.
that you can be proud of. Because if they have a claim and find out what the definition of comprehensive or collision coverage is, that's a tough conversation. It's the wrong time to be having it. So, want to thank you for coming out of your shell a little bit and stepping over here. You want to say anything in closing?
No, just if insurance is something you're thinking about, but you are kind of introverted and have some anxiety or fears about it, get over it. It's like me, you don't have to be an independent where you're completely out there, and you can actually go get a job as an employee of a company and and have some security there while you're learning. And obviously most of them have great training programs because they want you to be able to sell, right? So, there are options there for everyone, even us introverts.
Absolutely. So, as always, hit us with your questions and comments. Otherwise, we don't know. If you want to hear more from Jonathan, I'll see if I can coax him to come back and step on again. But if always, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate the comments and the attention. Thanks.